Okay guys, so welcome to this week's portfolio update. Now before we get into it, I wanted to share some big news with you guys. So I'm on my main page here of my YouTube channel. You can see as of time of filming here, I'm at 989 subscribers. So we're just about at that 1,000 subscriber milestone. So I really am super pumped about this. I wanted to thank each and every one of you guys and girls for supporting the channel over the last 3 months. Honestly, when I started out on this journey, I was giving myself a year to try and get this channel up to 1,000 subscribers and hit the 4,000 watch hours. And I've been able to do that in just under 3.5 months. So my first video on the channel, funny enough, is Tattooed Chef. We're going to talk about that in the portfolio update today as well. But you can see here it was posted 3 months ago. It had 172 views. So that's where it all started. And I couldn't be more excited to pass this huge milestone on my channel. Now that being said, I am going to be making a number of enhancements to the channel to celebrate this milestone. So I've actually invested in some new equipment. So hopefully the audio quality, video quality goes up. I'm going to be experimenting with some new ways of filming. So you can see here today I'm doing the two-way filming so you can see my face, the full duration of the video. And I've got some really cool props and decorations coming from my home office here where I actually do all my filming. So I'm really looking forward to it. Hopefully it improves the overall experience for you guys as well. So stay tuned and keep an eye out for that stuff. Now in terms of today's actual video, we're going to be talking about my high growth portfolio here where I actually track my trades every other Friday so you guys can follow along with exactly what I'm doing in my public account here. As you can see, today we're sitting at $21,379.82. So we're actually up $108 from the update we did 2 weeks ago. And at that point in time, the account was at $21,271 Canadian. So honestly, I'm fairly happy with that. We're up 0.5% over the last 2 weeks, which is nothing to write home about. But given the market environment over the last couple of weeks, it's been really hard to make money. And I've seen a lot of people that I know and a lot of stocks that I follow drastically fall off a cliff here. So I'm actually happy that we're able to turn a small profit and preserve the balance of this account over the past 2 weeks. So I actually only made one trade and we're going to go through that trade in detail. This was kind of a new strategy that I've tried out on the channel here. And then we're going to talk about the company that I made that trade on in a little bit more detail because they've had a ton of news over the last week and a half here. So this is the Questrade platform. Now if you jump into the orders tab here, we're going to filter it by executed over the past 2 weeks. So conveniently enough, this lines up exactly with when I'm releasing these videos. You can also filter it by 1 week, a month, or just today's trades. But for the purposes of this video, 2 weeks is what we want. And you can see what I actually did here was I sold my full position in the Valens Company, so 750 shares at an average of $3.47 a share. And then immediately the next day, I repurchased the same dollar value worth of shares. But because the share price had dropped to $3.20, I was able to get 850 shares of the Valens Company. So I was actually able to get an additional 100 shares or 13% of my entire position as bonus. And what I actually did here was sell on news. So I'm going to walk you guys through exactly what news came out, what my thinking was, but what this allowed me to do was actually average down on this position and get more shares for my initial invested dollars. So this is the Valens Company here. This is a 1 month chart, so you can see that their market cap has now crept north of $500 million. This is currently my largest holding in any of my portfolios combined. So I now have over $20,000 Canadian in this company, and I couldn't be more happy with that investment. The Valens Company is one that I've held for a number of years. I truly believe in the CEO and what they're trying to do there. So I'm happy to invest these dollars. But if and when I see an opportunity to average down and grab some extra shares, I'm definitely going to do that. So in this situation, what happened is you can see here on April 27th, they came out with some huge news that they were actually acquiring a CBD company based in the States called Green Roads, and the share price obviously took off. So you can see they jumped up to $3.53 on the close on April 27th. Now this company had had a major run over the past 6 months. So if you zoom out to a 6-month chart, you can see they were trading below $2 in March of this year. So in the back of my mind, I had known this company had a huge run and I had known people were going to be looking to take profits. Now that news of them entering the United States was a perfect setup for me to sell on news. So if we zoom back into the 1 month, you can see they closed at 353. And on the next day, April 28th, the low was 315. So if we jump back to my account now, you can see I was able to sell within 6 cents of the high there on April 27th, and I was able to get in at 320, so very close to the low on the following day. Now, interestingly enough here, they actually released big news on April 28th as well, but I feel like a lot of people were looking to actually take some profits, so the news didn't really move the share price as I would expect. But you can see since April 28th, they've been on a steady uptrend, and they're now up close to that $3.70 range. And you're going to actually see that I'm now up on this position about $400 since I re-entered Valens just a few days ago. Now, in terms of the news, I actually released an in-depth video on the Valens Company. So if you want a deep dive on what actually happened here and my bullish thesis on this company, I would definitely recommend you take a look at that video. But in a nutshell, the Valens Company made a major entrance into the United States by acquiring a leading CBD company called Green Roads. So they actually purchased this company for $40 million US. This is one of the top CBD brands in the United States. They're based in Florida, and this gives Valens the missing piece of the equation, which is US exposure in advance of federal legalization. So this was phenomenal. I'd listened to the conference call and the question and answer period in their last quarterly announcement, and this was definitely a hot topic, and I felt like Tyler Robson really hinted that they were on the verge of sealing a deal, and that's exactly what happened here. So I took the opportunity to sell out of some of my position. Now, I will note the shares I hold in this account of Valens represents only a small fraction of my total holdings. So I would never do this with my entire position if I was super bullish on a company like this, because if something crazy happened and they got bought out the next day or whatever the case is, you may end up missing out on a ton of upside. But it is worth taking a small calculated risk. Now, what actually happened was on the 28th, so the very next day, the Valens Company submitted their application to uplist on the NASDAQ. So this was major news for this company as well, which obviously gives them major exposure to Wall Street, hedge funds, and investment banks in the United States. So this should be a major catalyst moving forward and really drive up their share price as well. But like I said, this really didn't move the needle much on April 28th. So as if these two news releases or announcements weren't enough, the Valens Company actually had another big piece of news come out, and this one came out on May 4th. So Sundial, which is another company in the MJ space based in Alberta here, actually acquired an additional 538,000 shares at an average price of $3.66 Canadian, so about a $2 million investment, which now gives them a total of about 16 million shares of the Valens Company. So they already held about 15.5 million. They bought another 500,000. So now they own just over 10% of the Valens Company overall. So this is really interesting, and this is a potential buyout or merger situation that I could see playing out over the next 6 to 12 months here. Now, Sundial has a much larger market cap. They're trading about 1.2 billion US or about 1.5 billion dollars Canadian in terms of market cap. So for them to acquire the Valens Company would be a large acquisition, but it definitely wouldn't be out of the question. So I would keep that on my radar. And I think a lot of the big players are going to start looking at Valens as a very lucrative buyout target in the next couple of years here. So that's great. Again, that's a very positive outcome for me as a big investor in this company. So if we jump back to my account now, the moral of the story here, you guys, was I saw a good opportunity to average down and get some free shares on this company, which I did. In this situation, it worked out great. Now, a lot of times you might get caught with your pants down here and the share price could continue to run. So if you're going to do this type of strategy, I would highly recommend you do it with no more than about 10, 15, 20% max of your total holdings in a company, because you definitely can get burned if news comes out after the market is closed. But in this situation, it worked out. We got 100 free shares and we're super pumped about it. So if we now take a look at the actual portfolio itself, I'm going to sort by market value. So this is going to show you my current holdings in order of percent of portfolio. So first up here is Planet 13. I did do a video on this one. It didn't get a ton of love on my channel, but I would definitely encourage you guys to take a look at it. I have 410 shares, so 10 short of 420. I guess I could have planned that a little bit better. I got in at just over $4.64. It's up over $8.20 now. So I'm up about 77% on the position, or about $1,500, and it currently represents 16% of my portfolio. Next up is the Valens Company, which we just talked about. I now have 850 shares. Now, since doing that little fancy trade there, I'm actually up 15% on the position. So I was already up about $1,100. Then I made that trade. Now I'm up another $4, so I'm up about $1,500 on this position overall. And I was actually initially able to get in sub $2. So that's great. This position represents about 15% of my portfolio, and I'm super excited about this one and want to continue to see this grow. Now, Dropbox just came out with earnings tonight, May 6th. They were very impressive, you guys. They have a ton of paying subscriber growth. They've got a ton of cash on their balance sheet. This is a company that's extremely undervalued in my opinion. I've got a ton of call options on this company in my other account. I also have some here. This company is one that I definitely think should be going for no less than $30 a share. It currently is up about 26% from where I bought it at just under $19.50, and it represents about 14% of my account. Following that is another MJ play with US exposure. So this is Cresco Labs. Of all the big dogs in the MJ space, I think Cresco is supremely undervalued, and this is actually one that I want to start adding to aggressively, especially if it drops back in the $15 neighborhood. Now this company, I do have a video on my channel as well. Again, I really don't know why it's not getting the same love as some of the big boys like Canopy and Afria, but whatever the case is, I'm happy to be acquiring these shares cheap and getting them at a discount. Following Cresco, we have the Bitcoin fund. Now this is in US dollars. This one's in Canadian, so you'll notice same ticker, but this one has a .U, whereas this one does not. So we're up 261%. Obviously, Bitcoin and all crypto has been on a run this year, especially Ethereum and Dogecoin as of recently. Unfortunately, I don't have any of those, but I do have some pretty good exposure here to the Bitcoin fund. So we're up $1,100. This one's about 9% of my portfolio, $1,500 in terms of market value. And the Bitcoin fund in Canadian, we're up about $700 or 161%. So that's great. And between the two, that represents about 15% of my portfolio. Now, as you guys know, a general rule of thumb for me is to have no more than about 15-20% max in one single stock in any given portfolio. So if and when I do see companies creeping past that 15% kind of threshold, I will start to rebalance. And I've found that's a great way to make yourself or force yourself take profits when you have the opportunity. Now, we briefly talked about it, but this is a Dropbox call option. So this is a January 21st, 2022. So this would have qualified as a leap when I originally purchased it. I got these at an average of $8.10. I was up on this position, but because we've seen some weakness in Dropbox and big tech overall in the last couple of weeks, I'm actually down now about $390 US, which I'm really not worried about, and I may actually average down on these call options moving forward. We've then got Walgreens. So I got 20 shares of these guys for just under $39. They're up close to $54, $55, so we're up about 41%, which is great. $317 profit US. And this is another one that I really think should be trading north of $60, $65. So I'm just going to continue to hold. Again, I have a lot of call options on Walgreens and Tattooed Chef actually in my other private account. And this is one that I'm just holding, and I have no plans on selling anytime soon. They also pay a nice little dividend of about 3.5%, so you're getting paid while you wait, which is just a win-win. Now, Tattooed Chef, so if you guys recall, that was my first video on this channel. This one's been a little bit honestly frustrating for me. I got into this name, I was able to get out of it around $27, so I made some money specifically on call options a while ago now, I guess 3 months ago when the channel started out. But since then, the company price has continued to drop. Now, they've had some news come out. Their CEO sold some shares. Not a huge deal, and it was pre-planned. Their CFO stepped down. He'd only been with the company a little bit of time, so that's a little bit unnerving. But honestly, this company's had some big news. They just acquired a big food distributor in New Mexico, so they're opening up their menu to more Mexican-type cuisine, and they've actually got earnings coming out on May 12th. So I expect earnings are really going to be a catalyst and boost this company up. You can see here call options. I bought these pretty recently. They're dated for April 14th, 2022. So again, they've got some time, and I'm flat on these right now. Corsair Gaming just came out with huge earnings. I don't know how this company is down right now, But whatever the case is, I'm down about 126 bucks or 11%. This is another one I want to continue to add and build my position. Anytime you see companies like this and they're getting beat up when they're posting huge numbers, it's just an opportunity. It's honestly a gift to average down on here, continue to accumulate shares, and get in at a cheaper and cheaper price point. Now that's a great segue for the next one here, which is Tattooed Chef shares. So I was able to get in at 21 bucks, which at the time I thought that was a steal. It's now trading under $17, which is honestly laughable for this type of company. But whatever the case is, you guys, it's just like when the price of gas goes down, you fill up the tank. I'm going to continue to invest money in Tattooed Chef. I think this is going to be a massive food giant over the next 5 to 10 years. And if people want to sell me their shares for $16.93, have at her, and I'm going to take as many as I can afford. And keeping in that same kind of rhythm or theme, here's additional Tattooed Chef call options. So I've got 3 here dated for December 17th, 2021. These are a 20 strike, whereas these are a $15 strike. Now my average price on these was just under 6 bucks. So I essentially need Dropbox to be over $26 by December of this year in order to break even on this position. As of right now, I'm down about $1,000 or 60% on these call options. Again, I could not be less worried about this, you guys. I know Tattooed Chef is going to be well above 26, 30, 32, $33 by the end of the year. If not, you know what? That was a calculated risk and I'm going to lose some money on it. But I honestly think my money is pretty safe with these guys. Now that's it for today's video, you guys. As mentioned, I do these videos every other Friday, and that allows you, if you want, to track my trades, see exactly what I'm buying, how much I'm paying, and how many shares my account has of each and every individual stock that I hold. As always, please feel free to leave a comment in the section below. Let me know what you think of this portfolio, if you like my positions, if you think there's anything I should add, sell, whatever the case is. Make sure you smash that like button. This channel is really growing at a great pace right now, and it really does help me continue that momentum and get this content to other people who might find value. And of course, make sure you subscribe, you guys. I'm hoping by the time this video goes out, we're over that 1,000 subscriber milestone. But if not, who knows, you might be lucky number 1,000. Now on a final note, make sure you have a great rest of your day. Thanks so much for watching and appreciate all the support.